Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Azure and AI Show. With me today is Dan Ray from Chicago in the US. And we've got Solomon Jeremiah in the UK. And myself, Frank Falvey from Cork in Ireland. And we have some stuff to do today, some Azure stuff and some AI stuff. So I'm just going to start there by sharing my screen. I'm going to do a live demo on Azure, creating a storage account. And then I'm going to go over to Chat GPT and ask it to create a JSON script for the storage account. And we're going to just see what the one in Azure is like and what the one that the Chat GPT came up with. So I'm just going to share my screen. Second now. The entire screen. Can you see that?
Not just yet.
Not just yet. Okay. Second now. Okay. Hello.
There
How
it's
we
coming.
doing?
There, perfect.
Okay. So here we have the two screens. So I'm logged into Azure and I'm just going to create a storage account. So just up in the top here, you can actually type it in here if you prefer. There's a few different ways to get in to create a storage account, but we just have it here. So I'm just going to go with this one for the demo. So, 1 second now. Okay, so this one here is the subscription I'm going to use there is the Azure sponsorship one, and I already have a resource group set up, and it's called Frank. And the next one, we're just going to call it Azure and AI Show. And I'm just going to give it the location, Northern Europe, so that's where I am. And we're just going to go for locally redundant storage just for this demo. And a lot of the defaults, I'm just going to leave them as the defaults because this is just a demo. And just go on the networking part. So as well, we're just going to leave these all as default for the demo. And here we got the tags. We're just going to leave the tags empty as well. And review. And we're just going to hit create down the bottom there. And while that's provisioning, I'm just going to shrink that window down. And we're just going to go over then to the Chat GPT, and I'm going to ask it to create a JSON script. JSON script for an Azure storage account. And name it the Azure and AI Show. The location then is Northern Europe or North Europe. Sometimes if you get the spellings wrong, the AI can discover what you're actually talking about, and we'll give it to you. So
That's
we're
cool.
just going to, yeah. I tried that with the designer last week. Then instead of putting in beach with sand, where people go swimming,
Mm-hmm.
I called it a beach tree, BEECH, and I put in swimming and people, and it actually came up with the right thing, So
Cool.
yeah. So here we'll see what it'll come up now with. Especially on these demos, you might be typing up stuff, and so there's got North Europe, and it's got the name right for us. Okay.
That's awesome.
So what I'm going to do there is just shrink this one down, and you see our deployment here in Azure is finished. So I'm just going to go to resources here. Second now. So there is our storage account, and up on the top, you see here it is North Europe where we're at, and there's our name up on the top, Azure and AI Show. And over on the right hand side there, you can see the JSON view. So I'm just going to click on that, and it should bring us up our script. And I'll just shrink this one down so that we can, the AI just came up with the basic part that we had to fill out that time, like North Europe, and it's given us storage version 2. And over here on the left is the same. Can you see it? I'm just highlighting it there. And it gave us standard. And over on the other one, same standard. So that's basically just a kind of an overview of the stuff that ChatGPT can do for you. Can write those JSON scripts in the Azure for the Azure portal. So
awesome.
That is it. So, any questions on that, lads? So that was a quick demo on the Azure portal creating a storage account. So Solomon, do you want to take it over to do your one?
Yeah, I should. Let me try to open my resource account. Okay. Yeah, I'll be sharing my screen now. Let me just move this from this screen to this other one. Okay. Okay. Yes. So I guess you should see my screen now.
Yeah.
Okay. So today I just want to create a point to site VPN, and I'll just try to run a demo. And what I'll be doing, I'll try to create the VPN gateway. And when I create the VPN gateway, I will try to put it on a subnet, on a particular VNet that I have a virtual machine. And I will try to connect to that virtual machine from my network, that's a client computer, and I'll be connecting to the virtual machine using the private IP of the virtual machine. I will not be using the um, so I will just go ahead now and explain what I'll be doing. So let me look for the VNet. I just want to be sure. Okay. Yeah, so this is the VNet I want to use. But now what I did before this event was to create the virtual gateway. The reason I did that is because it will take approximately 20 to 25 minutes to create that. So I just decided to build it, but I would just give an overview of what it looks like when you're creating it. So if I come to this VNet here, and I come to connected device. So this is the gateway I created. And if you look at the subnet, this is the gateway subnet. So if you want to create a gateway, you can choose to go ahead and create the gateway. While you're creating it, you can create this gateway subnet directly from the gateway that you're creating, or you can choose to create it directly from the subnet. So what I would do, let me just open another resource account that I have a VNet, and I'll try to create a. So let me open this. I'll just try to create. Okay. So let me be sure if. No, I have something here. Okay, yes, so I have this VNet, and there's just one subnet here. So I can choose to create the subnet for the gateway here, and let me just use 28. Yep. So I would choose 28, or let me make it 27, because if you're using the basic, you would have issues with this. So let me just use 27 for this subnet, and the name of this subnet is gateway subnet. I'll save this. So while this is saving, I'll just duplicate this tab so I can. So yes, I would come here and search for gateway. Let me search for that. Okay, so I'll go with this. So I'll click on create. So when I'm trying to create this, I'll just select the subscription, and then I'll give it a name. So let me just give it AI show. No, so I'll name this AI show gateway. And I'm going to select the region where that VNet is. So that's what I'm going to select. And now the gateway type, we have two types here. We have the express route, and we also have the VPN. So I'll be using the VPN today. For the express route, is more like connecting your on-prem network to Microsoft, right? And you would need your ISP to be involved when you're creating this express route. So I would use the VPN, and I'm going to use route base because route base is dynamic. I can choose to connect another subnet later to this gateway I'll be creating, while the policy-based is more is static. So I'll be using this route base. And when I choose this, I would have to choose the SKU. For this, we have the basic, and then we have other ones. Now, these have different prices. When you're checking the pricing on Azure website, you will see that there are different prices for these, and also they have different generation. If you're using the basic, right, you can see you can't use the active mode and the BGP mode, and it's also generation 1. You don't have under generation. So if you want to resize it, you would have to delete instead of resizing it. But when you use this, you can always resize instead of deleting it. And the bandwidth also is different for anyone you pick. The bandwidth is on Azure website for pricing. You will see that there. So you can select any of these that you want. This is still based on price. Then you will have to give this, you have to select the VNet. So this was the VNet I think I created. Yeah, this is the VNet I created, that subnet. So you can see it automatically picked the subnet for the gateway. So if there was no subnet there, you can still create it. So if I probably choose, I think there's no, oh, there's one there. So let me try this. So you can see it created a new subnet for the gateway for me. And once you do that, you can now select your IP name, and the IP type currently is on standard, right? But if I'm using the basic, yeah, if I'm using the basic, you can see the IP is going to be basic SKU, and it will be on dynamic. I don't have the ability to change this. So what I'm going to do, I will just put it here, and then I can give this a name. So I can just say AI Show Gate. So I'll give this a name, right? And then I can choose to make enable active, but I did not use this because for this you just need to choose this if you want to configure how availability, how available you want your devices to be reached on the network. Because when you're using this, you have the opportunity to create another IP, right? You can have a failover IP. So I didn't use this for the one I created. I just used the public IP. And for this, the BGP, I didn't use it also. So what I did, I just went next, and then I created the gateway. So now this gateway, it will take about 20 to 25 minutes when you're creating it. So I didn't want to spend that time waiting here on the call or on, on this event. So what I did, I created it here. So this is the gateway I created right here. So this is it. So if we come to, let me just go back to, let me go back here. I'm not creating that. So this is the gateway right here. So if you look at it here, this is where we'll do the configuration for the point to site. So, and you can see right here, we have the point to site. So when we are creating this point to site, we need to give it an address pool. Simply, what this address pool just simply means is, you know, when we are using VPNs, normally what the VPN does is that it changes our IP. So for any device, any client device that we'll be using to connect to this gateway that we created, we'll be getting our IP from this range, this address pool that we are specifying here. And then for the tunneling type, I selected this. So there are different tunneling type that you can select. We have the Open VPN there. And apart from that, if if we go to Microsoft's website, there are also documentations on each of these tunneling type and authentication type, because you can choose to authenticate with certificates, you can authenticate with Radius. This is Active Directory, and then we still have the Azure Active Directory. We can authenticate with that. And once you're done selecting what you want to use, for me, I selected the Azure certificate because I can easily just create a self-signed certificate from the Microsoft website. So after selecting that, I will just show you what I did when I was creating the certificate, because this is the certificate I created from Microsoft documentation. So let me pull up that website. I should just see the website for it now. So this is the website where you can always come and create the certificate. So yes, this is the website where you can create the certificates. They already have the procedures stated out here. So for me to create this, I just needed to use the computer that I will be accessing, the client computer that I'll be using to access the network on Azure. So I will pull up one of my VM. So let me pull up this VM. I already turned it on. Yeah. So this is the machine here. Although I won't be connecting with this particular one, I'll be using another one. I just want to show what it looks like. So if I go to PowerShell, so if I open my PowerShell, I could choose to run this command and I'll show you exactly what it does. So let me move this to this other page so I can just copy the command and paste it here. So the first command on that site, I will just copy it and I will try to paste it here. So when you paste this, you don't exit this page. Now there's already a name. I was supposed to actually name that, right? I can rename this to another thing if I want to. So I just ran the first certificate for this particular machine. Then I will go and copy the next one, the next key. So the next one I'll be getting now, let me just go down. So what I'm doing, I'm creating the root certificate and the client certificate. So now I've created both of them, right? And there's another command I can use to see them that is on the website. So the next thing I would be doing right now is, how do I get the certificate that I have created? That's the next thing I'll be doing. My screen is my screen kind of blinking?
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay, so the next thing I will be doing now, I will be going ahead to access those certificates. Now, once I access the certificates, I will be exporting it. So let me just use this to go to where the certificate is. So you will type this command. Once you type this command, it should show you the certificate on the system. So now this is a personal one. Oh, why is it not showing here? Okay, I don't know why this, but I will just pull up the other system. Oh, I think I'm probably typing the wrong stuff. Okay, I think I'm typing the wrong stuff. This is not what I should be typing. So you have to also be careful when you're typing this. This is supposed to be the manager. So this is where I should come to. So now when I come here, I should see this. So you can see I already have a lot of certificates there. So what I would do is I have to export the root certificate, which is this. I will right click on it. go to Task Manager, and then I'll click on Export. So once I click on Export, I can click on Next. Do not export the private key. And then I'll select this because I will need to copy it, right? I want it to be something I can copy. Then I'll click on Next. Then I can browse to my desktop and say, I want to save this here. Let me just use AI Show. So I can then say I want to save it right on my desktop, and I'll go Next and finish. So I've successfully exported this certificate here. So once I right click on this, I would open this with Notepad, and then I can easily copy this. So once I copy this, I will come here and paste it here. So that's exactly what I'll paste here. And for the name, I would just give it the name of the root certificate I saved it at. Then I will just save. So once I save now, I can then download this VPN client. But before I do that, I would also need to export the client. So this is the client. That's the child. So let me do this. So I will right click on this, and I'll go to export, and then I'll go next. Yes, I would next, and then I'll create a password. So why I'm creating this password is if I want someone else to access this gateway, I can copy the file and send to the person, and the person can use the password to authenticate. So once I create a password, so I'll just create a random password now. So if I create this password now, oh, password did not match. Let me just clear this. So if I go next, yeah, I can now browse, and I can just save this as AI Show client. So I can just save this as this, and then next. Yep. So now I have this on my system, right? So what I will do next is to download the VPN client and then install it on the system. So for this particular network for this particular gateway, I used this other computer to configure it. So I will just pull up the client computer I use in configuring it, which is this. Let me pull this. Okay, so I used this in configuring it, and this is the file. So I downloaded the file. I just mounted it as ISO on this VM so I can install it. So I've already installed it, and once I'm done installing it, right, I can then go to my network, and once I go to my network and I go to VPN, you can now see that my VNet is actually showing here. So with this, I can click on connect, and all things going well, I should be able to connect to my network. So now it is connected. So what I would do next now, I would go and access a VM. But before then, let's just try to see the IP that I'm going to get on this machine. So if I should do ipconfig all, so you can see this is the virtual network, right? VNet training, and this is the IP. This IP is coming from the IP address pool I gave to the gateway. So what I'll be doing next, I would go to, so this is where the address is coming from. So I'll go to my VNet. I have a VM right here that doesn't have, I'm trying to think of the nick. Yeah, this should be, okay, let me just go to VMs. I think I should be able to reach it now. So this is the VM right here. So this VM, if we look at the network for this VM, there's no public IP. There's no public IP. So what I would do, I would just start this VM. And this VM is also in VNet training. You can see is on the front end subnet, right? And you know, in Azure, we should be able to communicate between subnets because there's already a default route. So what I want to do now, I would start this. I think I already did. So let me just wait for this to start. So once this comes up, I would be using RDP to remotely connect to this from my client's computer. So let me just give you some time. So this is the network, and yeah, I took off the public IP, so there's no public IP. But RDP is allowed. So let's just see. So I think this should be up in soon.
Yeah, it seems to be still configuring there up in the top.
Yeah, I can see it doing that. But most times you will see it doing the configuration there, like starting up and it's already running. So, but okay, let me just give it a try. So I'll do my RDP. Yeah, so what's the name of that VM? Just to confirm. Okay, pairing VM. So I would paste, okay, it's already up. So this is the IP from that VM. I will try to connect. And you can see it's already asking for the username. So if I try this on my personal computer, not my Hyper-V VM, I don't think I'll be able to get to this stage. So let me try to, so I would try to say, okay now, and yep. So I just connected to that VM from my Hyper-V VM that is on my private network to the VM on Azure using the VPN gateway. So, yep, that's all I have for today. Yeah. So,
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that went really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Dan, I think I try to use my time so quick so that
yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Let me hop
that was good.
into.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Do you know when you didn't use the public IP? So was it given you had a static one then after that, yeah?
I think he used private IPs, right?
Oh yeah,
Colin?
yeah.
Everything are just private IPs.
Okay, so
VPN point to site demo. So here we're creating a designer generated image. Let's do a cloud with computers and servers as a cartoon. See what we end up with. This is a designer preview account that has early access. One thing that you can do with Microsoft Designer once you get it is create your own little designs and images, generate those images. And then once you get your design, if you download your design, you'll notice almost immediately, once it's downloaded, I get 3 designer invites that I can send to people.
Okay.
And as people redeem those invites, they have early access to the Microsoft Designer software as well. So Frank, I know we exchanged one of these earlier this week.
Yeah.
My
So
trick is setting up new accounts every time I run out.
yeah. So what did you go into to get those 3 then?
So you download whatever you design. You have to
Yeah.
design something. The trick to get the invites, and the team shared this with us when we got our early access, was until you download something, you can play around with it all day, and make all sorts of new templates and do something for Employee Appreciation Day or create a brand new design. Until you download one of your designs, you don't unlock those 3 new invites. So all you have to do is create one, but you can create as many as you want once you get the designer preview access. And then once you download that first one, you should see on your picture information about giving up to 3 other people the early access to the designer. So I wanted to share that with everybody, make sure everyone is aware in our community of that. And then let's also take a quick look at what we can do with the Bing integration for chat
Oh, cool.
GPT here. So I have early access to the Bing chat beta. So if I go to the Bing homepage, go to bing.com, and we see today is what is today? Let's close this. It's a Mandarin duck in London, England. Solomon. We've got a duck from England, from London today. So I could search for something like Descript. And Descript is a piece of software that I have an account on, and it's a AI video editing service. And so, if I just do a search for Descript, obviously the website is one of the first things that comes up. But even just using that one word and searching Bing for that same information, notice what Bing comes up with. Descript is an all-in-one software system for editing videos, audio, recording screens, and transcribing. It works like a Word doc and lets you write, record, transcribe, edit, collaborate, and share your videos and podcasts. So it is kind of an all-in-one AI editing tool. And let's take a look here at what it can do for you. Let me share my system audio this time and bring up that same window here.
Is there an audio playing?
No, I can't hear anything.
Yeah, I can't hear anything. Dan, can you hear us? I think he can't.
1 second now.
I think there's an audio sound, but he's the only one listening to it.
I sent him a message.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit about Descript. And one of my favorite features, the main reason I got this is for their overdub capability. And what you can do with this is use stock voices or your own voice as the model for correcting something in a video. So how many times have you created a video, realized that you called out the wrong date or the wrong time for something, or there's one thing that's wrong with the entire video, and now you're going to have to go back and re-record either the whole thing or the sentence or some portion of it. Descript with this overdubbing feature allows you to blend in with either multiple voices or your own voice through training the tool to correct things from the written transcript. So the filler word removal is super handy. Coming up with social clips and templates is super handy. But one of the things I was most excited to try was to record something, have 1 or 2 words that I wanted to replace, maybe with a better word to describe how fantastic Bing's integration with ChatGTP is, or how amazing it is. You know, whatever word I choose, if I think of a better word for it, game changing, I could go to where I said amazing and just type in game changing, and in my own voice, game changing is used in the video clip. So the AI in Descript is something that I wanted to highlight today because it is truly game changing. When I saw that, I thought, this is something I need to try. And it's descript.com. And overdub is the feature that kind of sold me on it. But if you have a lot of filler words and are trying to produce videos that you want to put on YouTube or elsewhere, that is another feature of this service. What else today do we have? Frank, I think we opened up our call for speakers, right?
That's right, yeah. If we could get some more speakers to come in and give us some more Azure and AI stuff would be great. But how did you get access to the new Bing, Dan?
So Micah covered the process I used last week. I logged in with, I'm already logged in typically with my Microsoft account, my personal account. And when I went to the Bing homepage, there was a, sign up for the wait list. And I thought, if this is anything like Designer, I'm going to have to find somebody at Microsoft to let me in early. But probably 2 or 3 days later on the Bing homepage, there was a, hey, do you want to get in early? And the process to get in early on Bing's homepage was to log in as your Microsoft account, change your default browser to Edge, which was already my default browser to begin with on my computer, but it switches it back if you're using, Chrome or something else. And then there was another setting to change something to Edge from whatever it might be set to. I'm assuming my computer was set to that as well. And then there was a third item that I don't recall, but essentially what Micah was showing is how I got into the Bing beta early. So
I also got in.
Cool.
So I'm using it also. The same thing we went through. Yeah. I just changed everything, even my PDF reader. I think it changed it to default reader.
There you go. That was probably the third thing.
But I think, the chat GPT is kind of after calming down a bit now. It's not kind of going off the air anymore. I'd say people, are after trying it, and which is good.
Yeah. So the Edge site or the Bing homepage. I have not gotten, Solomon, I didn't get it working on my mobile device yet, even though I'm logged in.
Okay, you scanned the barcode. Did you scan the barcode?
Okay.
Or how I think I saw something about scanning the barcode, but I never tried it on mobile. So, but I've been using it on my entire computer because now I can just search from, where the Windows starts menu is.
Oh, yeah.
I can just search from there and it takes me straight to Bing, and I don't need to come to the browser to start searching. So I can just start my search from there.
That is cool. I have not tried that one. Let's check that out here. See if I can share one of my screens that isn't as crazy high resolution. See if that comes through clear.
Yeah.
Excellent.
That's
I just
good.
need to figure out which of the 18 screens I have in front of me I'm on. I think I'm on this one. Let's see. Nope. Of course I choose the wrong window. Let's see if it's this one. Come on, why aren't you letting me? That's weird. It's got my Windows logo open there. Okay, closed. So now I should be able to go to the other window. There we go. And then do our search here. That opens on another screen, and we'll do a Descript search. Oh, it's opening on my mains window here. Descript. See web results. You're on Windows 11, right, Solomon?
Yes, I'm in Windows 11.
Okay.
Yeah.
That might be the difference too.
Yeah.
So same thing. You just have to go to chat then. After you go to the Bing AI. Cool. Well, good to know. I've got a Windows 11 dual boot on this computer, so I've got both Windows 10 and Windows 11 running.
So for me, I think how do you see the Windows 11? I think I prefer it. It's just that I have to let go of my battery.
Yeah, there's like 3 or 4 things that I need to do as a trainer that I can't do in Windows 11 that I need to use Windows 10 for. So what I did with this computer was I set up the C drive as Windows 10, and then I carved up another partition and installed Windows 11 on that other partition. So if I explore that drive, you can see another copy of Windows 11 on this. And I think if I go to the web folder, the 4K wallpapers, you'll see that they're the Windows 11.
Yeah.
As opposed to the Windows 10 that are on the C drive. So I could actually pull a Windows 11 wallpaper into my Windows 10 computer and maybe fool a couple people that don't know the difference between Windows 10 and 11. But it's still Windows 10 on this side. The main thing that I do as a trainer that I can't do in the Windows 11 at this point is I make my taskbar larger, because on my vertical monitor I have a lot of items at the bottom, and that's my main window so that people don't see me task switching. So I've got my task switcher open, but you don't see it on the screen I'm sharing because it's not the screen that is the main window for Windows.
Oh. So did you add that to the features you're looking for in Windows 11?
I have added that as a request, as a insider, and as a MVP. We have access to that. The other thing I discovered, and I had to look this up, I wasn't aware you could do this on Windows 10 or 11. I have 4 screens up on my system, but you can change the individual monitor backgrounds by right-clicking and choosing your different monitors. So another way I could configure my system is by setting up on the 4 different monitors different backgrounds. And then when I take a screenshot with the Windows key and the screenshot button, what will happen is my screenshots will show all of my different desktop backgrounds. If I drag this down here, you can see that I've got the Windows 10, Windows 11, and other backgrounds. And this is the, kind of virtual placement of the 4. This is the monitor that's the portrait mode that I use when I'm training. So I bring up my PowerPoints and my Teams window or my Zoom window, whatever I'm using on that. And then that's my task switching monitor too. So I usually, when I'm training, I need to make the taskbar bigger than one line because I have more than a few applications open. So I'm waiting for that one feature in Windows 11. And then now that I've carved up my computer and it's dual boot, I can, do insiders rings or whatever else I want. I can install more copies of Windows 10 or 11 pretty easily, virtually or physically, which is cool.
That was nice. So for me, I just use Hyper-V for any other stuff. So I increased my RAM to 64 gig, and then I can just build my stuff. And
Cool.
my drive is about 3.5 TB. So I can just build a new operating system and use it anytime I want to.
Yeah, I've got a virtual PC, or not virtual, virtual box, and Hyper-V and Windows Sandbox all running on Windows 10 as well. And so far, I haven't hit too many conflicts with all 3 of them running on the same system. But VirtualBox is the product that the cybersecurity training that I'm doing uses. So I'm getting familiar with VirtualBox again. I haven't used it for quite a while, but it's pretty nice. I mean, Hyper-V is nice as well, and it's built in.
Yeah.
So cool.
That was nice.
Yeah. So Frank, I know we have the call for speakers at the bottom there. We're on Sessionize. And then it's sessionize.com/the Azure and AI Show. The call for speakers is open. I think you can open it for a month, and then you can say what your duration of your event is. It's either the call for speakers that has a short duration of a month, or it might be the events. So since we're weekly, I think we're planning through like April at this point. And I know Matt is our first presenter that has reached out, and we're working with him to be our first Sessionize approved speaker. And he'll be coming to us on a Friday shortly.
Okay.
And then we also just need to, look for other folks that might have interest. This also gets you credit as a Sessionize speaker. And last year they gave out badges to the top 3% of Sessionize presenters. So if you're a badge collector, that might be something to consider too.
Yeah, I'd say for Matthew, he was loads back.
He may or may not have been the first person that reached out and said, hey, he was the first one to ask, how did you get the Logitech Luminaries badge? So I pointed him in that direction. And as soon as I had the Sessionize, it's not a badge, it's like a wallpaper they gave you to download, but yeah, he was asking about that too.
Yeah, so that key that key I got from you, or that license for Microsoft Designer today, that was for a lady in Africa.
Oh, awesome.
She's a graphic designer, but I asked her would she try this out. So we'll see how a graphic designer gets on with it.
That's awesome.
And I'll try and get her to come on and do a session for us.
That'd be awesome. Yeah. A graphic designer would be better than us just, kind of messing around with it, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So
that'd be cool.
Hopefully Esther is her name. So
cool. And I know the other thing that happened recently, probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, was Emily Toher from the designer team took over our showcase page. So she reached out to me, I think through Twitter, to ask who runs the Microsoft Designer preview page.
Okay.
And I let her know it was us. And she asked if the designer team could actually take that over. So the Microsoft Designer preview showcase page on LinkedIn is now the product team. And they just recently launched a group that is also a direct conversation that you can have with the designer product team. So unlike some of the other things where you really don't know who's behind the products, Microsoft Designer and that group has been pretty forthcoming about who the actual people are that are working on that team, which is great. I think that's really cool.
Do you think she might come and do a demo first?
We could certainly ask. She has been very responsive, so I can reach out to her and let her know we do this every Friday and see if we can get her on one of our shows in April, I guess. I think next Friday is still...
we'll be into March.
That is, yeah, we're into March. Okay. Yeah, we still have March. February and March dates always confuse me because they're the same days of the week. So by the time I get through one of them, I feel like I've been through both. Yeah, March 3rd is our next one. And I will be flying to Spain at some point that day. So I may or may not be available on March 3rd. And March 10th, I know I'm flying back from Spain. So I may or may not be available for two in a row. Yeah.
For next Friday.
Yeah. So I'll be available for Journey to the Cloud on the 2nd, which is the day before. And that is our return to monthly Thursday, first Thursday of every month. So we'll be doing that as well.
Okay. So that's a kind of 2-hour event, is it?
Typically, we've been running about 2.5 hours, depending on amount of presenters and order of presenters and that type of thing. So I would imagine since we're moving to monthly, that might be our big, longer opportunity to stack up and decide where your speaking slot is, if it's early or late. Yeah. But with a flight to Spain, I don't think that would have helped. You could go like 8 hours and I'd still possibly be in the air.
Yeah.
That was great.
Excellent.
So, Solomon, you have the meet up with Claire soon, have you?
Yeah. We had a meeting and we should be having another meeting on Tuesday. Yep.
Awesome.
Okay. So do you tell her we're doing the Azure and AI show?
Yeah, I told her. Yeah, I think she already know about Dan and you. She made mention of both of you.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. So next time I'm talking to her, I'll mention you, just to get the
name. Yeah, she actually mentioned both of you. She was like Dan and Frank. I was like, yes.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a small community when you get, down to like who knows who. But tell her hello for me. And I don't know if she'll be coming over. The MVP Summit is in person for some people, but I'm not sure how many Microsoft folks will be traveling for that with all the changes that have been happening. So if Claire's there, hopefully I'll get to meet her in person. And if not, maybe it'll be a virtual introduction or something.
When is that on then? When does that come out?
So there was a announcement of the dates and then a website that went live that somebody posted on Twitter. It's April 18th through 20th, which
Okay.
is, I believe, a Tuesday through Thursday officially,
Yeah.
or
So
Wednesday through Friday.
we're up on the hour, so I'm just going to end the live part
Sure.
of our broadcast and see everybody next week.
Bye.